keeping his. We're doing it.
Okay, and I'm the only one with the effects on now. I forgot I had these on. Okay, everybody, we're a little bit of a delay, but we are here with most of the Bored with Life cast, and I think if you're looking at the screen the same way as me, we have Casey and Brittany on the left-hand side, and then Chris, and then Jonathan on the right. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good, doing well. Trying to figure out how to take off this mustache.
You just click them. You click them again, and it takes them off. I'm sorry, we're so entertained by this.
That's all right. I haven't even played with it yet. I've done a few of these, and I haven't played with it at all.
Hangouts has gotten a lot more sophisticated, it looks like.
So anyway, I'm really glad you guys are joining me here. I've been watching your guys' show since the first episode, I think.
Wow,
and really enjoyed everything. And I also enjoyed your recent thing you posted today, the Checkers movie trailer. That was hilarious. Awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I have a list of questions, and we're live on YouTube here, so hopefully some folks will join us and add some questions of their own. Let's just say, what was the, let me just get a little icebreaker here. What was kind of the inspiration for doing a movie trailer for today?
Yeah, you take it, Chris.
All right. Donald had the idea, I guess, to do something a little different, and we wanted to do it during our Kickstarter to kind of maybe try to get a little bit of a different fan base or some new eyes on our stuff. And we had been throwing around this idea because games like chess and checkers and things like that are certainly popular and valid games, but at the same time, most people in the hobby board game or in the board game hobby aren't particularly interested in them. So we kind of decided to go a little bit crazy with it and had this idea for a trailer kind of in the style of the Battleship movie and things like that, which is just kind of ridiculous that those got made. And so yeah, we just did it, and we wanted to kind of see how far we could push the production value. We shot that at a much higher quality than the rest of our stuff, so it looks better. So yeah, we just kind of were experimenting with that and seeing what we could do.
Cool. Yeah, that's one of the things I love about you guys. I mean, everything about it is, I do my little thing here with the video reviews and all the different stuff, but I mean, you guys are really, and I just got to say up front, I'm going to come across as a huge fanboy, so forgive me a little bit there. You guys just kind of take everything to that next level, which, I appreciate, and I know a lot of people are really starting to appreciate.
I mean, you're in the Alps.
Yeah.
I am.
That's commendable.
Yeah, it looks like that outside my window, actually. I know here.
The fjord.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Casey, go.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we come to this from like a filmmaking background. We did that before we even embarked on this whole thing. So, so that's why a lot of the show for us is kind of like challenging ourselves to do fun stuff and make fun things that we would want to watch. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about your Kickstarter first of all. So you guys, have you hit your first stretch goal? You were like right at the cusp when I checked earlier today.
I think we're like $180 away. We're so close.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was 130. Yeah. It was like $200 when I looked at it last time.
Yeah. So yeah, we're really close. We're really excited about it. Our first one is Big Giant Circles. Our friend Jimmy Henson. He does really awesome chiptunes. He did a Kickstarter last year that it was like the 66th most successful music Kickstarter ever. And he was the #1 album on Bandcamp on his like release week or whatever. And he's really awesome. And so we're gonna have him do some music for the second season if we hit that stretch goal. And then the next one is Rich Summer for Mad Men, and then the next one is a holiday special. So hopefully we can knock those out.
Awesome.
Yeah, because we all just really want those three to happen regardless of of the Kickstarter existing. That's all something we hope can be the case, just because we want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would just be amazing to hit all that stuff.
Yeah. So our fingers are crossed about it.
Good. So, do all you guys play board games, or how's that work?
Well,
some of you, half of you.
To different extents, obviously. I mean, Chris, would you say you and Donald play about the same amount?
Yeah. Donald and I are the real, and Nikki. Donald, Nikki, and I are the real kind of hardcore board game fans, and then other people are board game fans. But a lot of it is through the show. So to varying degrees, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got my phone's ringing here.
That's okay.
There we go. You're not supposed to ring.
Phones?
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
But we all kind of play games together and stuff. So it's yes and no.
So have you been trying to bring the others into the addiction a little bit there? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since we've started writing the show, a lot of us have started to play more and more, and we all, I feel like to some degree, have favorite games, in the designer side and stuff like that. So we're all getting into it, but Chris and Donald were the ones that were kind of hardcore into it before this thing even started.
Good deal. Yeah, one thing I really appreciate about the show is you have on one side your bits, and then the other side you have the episodic stuff. And it's interesting for me, from a board game geek kind of person, to see how the games are incorporated into the story, sometimes more or less. And the bits that are more prevalent. And my favorite bit is actually, I think, with Casey and Brittany, where they did the Mr. Jack bit. I just loved everything about that. It was, it told you a lot about the game without really telling you anything about the game. And how it's a deduction game. You're trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is, and then it had that whole extra dynamic between your characters on the show, of Casey Brittany trying to get one over on Casey, like she might in some of the other episodes. And anyway, just that whole dynamic there was really impressive. And
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
we appreciate that. I mean, a lot of what we're trying to go for is accessibility to within the board game community, people that are very familiar with the games will have some in jokes, but if you've never played it, we hope that whatever we're trying to whether it's a bit or an episode, it's still entertaining and you can still get a lot of what we're going for without that. And then ideally, even if you had zero knowledge of the game or board games at all, you'd be able to enjoy it as well.
Yeah. And then the same thing with the Scrabble thing. You guys did a bit early on with Chris, and I don't remember her name. Ashley. Is her name Ashley in the show?
Yeah, that was
Michelle in the show.
Ever, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her name's Michelle on the show.
Michelle, that's right. But yeah, that was a good one too. My wife actually does that when we play Scrabble, where she'll read the dictionary. So yeah. I thought that was really funny. So I really like that part of everything. So what have you guys done previous to Board with Life? Because are you guys actors or writers more, or just go down the list there or down the row?
We are actors last, and then I guess writers second to last. I think most of us come to it from a video production side, like a film production side, and went to film school for that. So Casey and I especially are interested in kind of the camera stuff and the photography side of it. Donald went to school for audio production, so he's interested in the audio side of it. And then you just kind of, when you're making independent stuff, you wind up writing it for yourself because you don't have anybody writing it for you, and then you wind up casting yourself and friends in it because you
don't have a budget.
Yeah, because it's cheap. And it's also once you start going very far outside of yourself, it gets hard to keep people interested and keep people kind of together on it. So we tried to kind of keep it as small a thing as possible so that we could ensure that we could keep making it in the future. Because that's the thing I see happening to a lot of web series is they'll have like a pretty decent first season and they'd like to make a second one, but then they're just, people move and all this kind of stuff. So it's
Right.
difficult to kind of manage all that stuff.
And so what about Brittany and Jonathan? You guys more post-production or pre-production writers, actors?
Ladies first.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. I actually went to school in film the same time Casey and Chris were going, but we didn't really know each other back then. And then later we became friends working together at Funimation, working on anime editing. So I come from the same background as them. I don't have as much experience with camera and stuff. But yeah, that's my side of how I got involved, really. That was years ago, though.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say that I'm probably the opposite. I wouldn't dare compare myself to people that professionally act by saying I am an actor first by any means, but I did since the age of 5 was acting in plays and theater, and then in college I was a theater minor and was doing little short films and stuff like that. And it wasn't until kind of later that I decided that I really liked production as well. And I was actually a business major, but I was like doing marketing major, but a film minor. So I like making like advertisements and commercials and stuff. And I was just chuckling at what Chris said because I would need to make commercials for a class, like make a little advertisement, and I would just act in them because I couldn't find anybody to like be in a stupid little McDonald's commercial or something. And then I actually met Casey at work at an advertising agency, and I think my part was the last one that they cast, and seen as everybody is themselves except me. Well, I guess I'm myself, but my character was originally Kellen and was based off one of their other friends. So he knew I liked to act. We did like kind of a video podcast together. So he asked me to audition, and here I am.
Yeah, we needed like a handsome person that looked like a man, and we didn't know any of those.
Actually,
So we had to go outside of ourselves.
We need a fratty kind of jerk that is also gay. And I was like, oh, I think I can pull that off. Because I was in a fraternity too, so.
Yeah. So.
That's funny. Okay, cool. That's a nice little background there. My next question, kind of related to that, is so you guys kind of come together as a group, here and there, working on, you wanted to do a web series first, and then what was that moment that kind of crystallized for you? Said, oh, let's do board game focus. Let's kind of attack that hobby. Because computer games have a lot of I don't know if you call it. It's not machinima because you're not stealing footage from a game. I guess you kind of are, but you don't. There's no humor. There's no extra like meta video about the hobby. So where was that moment that you guys kind of said, let's hit board games. There's nothing for board games. Let's do it.
Well, we met through Donald, Ashley and Anthony Birch, who do a really popular video game web series. Hey Ash, what you playing?
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, and it's great, and they're super funny. And so Donald was doing sound on Borderlands 2 that Anthony Birch wrote, so they got to know each other, and we became friends through that. And so we had kind of talked about doing a web series before. We had been doing like short films and feature films and doing festivals, which was nice, but at the same time kind of weird because you work really hard on this thing that only a couple of people see for a little while. And we knew we wanted to try something different, and we knew we wanted to try a web series. So when we met them, it kind of became clear that you need to connect to some sort of fandom online to have any chance as a web series. You have to connect to some sort of built-in fan base. And so then we were, we all are really, really into movies, but we couldn't figure out what that would be, and then it just clicked one day. I think I was watching The League, and it clicked one day that we could like do that, but instead of fantasy football, it could be board games. And it was one of those aha moments where we all felt really dumb for not figuring it out before, because we were like, oh, duh, we're really into board games. This doesn't exists for board games at this point. Like that, they're perfect for the sitcom medium because the sitcom's just sitting around a table. I mean, it's just in a bar or a cafe in an apartment. There's no reason there can't be a board game on the table, and it even drives conflict sometimes to have people playing a board game, and you can act out that conflict in different ways. So yeah, it just kind of organically happened, but definitely when I texted Donald, like, do you want to make a web series about board games like The League? It was like, yes, and we just hit the ground running.
Nice. So there's a question here from Donald Schultz. Oh God. He says, that Donald guy is on a roll. What would you say his strongest qualities are as a person?
Don't answer it. Nobody answer it.
His strongest quality is absence from this interview.
Yes.
And we should all be very thankful. Why is he even? Why is he even watching?
Why did he just out himself?
I did. I will say I was too busy for. They did Backit. Some of the cast did Backit last week, and they did a live hangout, and I was too busy to do it. But then I watched the second half of it, and I felt dirty. It was like I wasn't supposed to be. It was like, I'm busy. I'm not doing this, and then I'm just like watching my friends talk to each other on the internet. It's weird. But yeah.
But yeah, he's horrible. So next question, please.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat kind of related to my next question. So you've got the bits, you got the news, you got the episodic stuff, all that stuff. Do you have plans to, any kind of different kinds of content to branch out and do, or maybe stuff not board game related or anything?
Yeah, I'll take this a little bit. Well, I mean, within the board game realm, there is stuff that we'd like to do. Our major limitation with bits and episodes is time and availability with everybody, because this just eats up all of our free time and all of our free resources. But like Brittany and I in particular, or specifically rather, would want to make documentaries about. For example, one of the features that we have on the channel is an interview and then a sculpt off with Chad Hoverter. And he's the sculptor who did the miniatures for Mice and Mystics, which are awesome. And so we'd love to make a documentary showcasing that guy's work and his process and all that. And we've been wanting to since before we even launched the show. It's just hasn't been able to happen. So there's plenty of stuff like that we just would love to be able to do, but haven't had the time to do. And then Chris, I'm sure you can talk about some of the extracurricular non-board game stuff that we also have going on.
Keep it clean.
And yeah, we actually it's still sticking with the board game stuff. Like we did a Let's Play for 2 Rooms and a Boom, and that was really popular. A lot of people really liked that. Yes. And we've actually shot another one for One Night Werewolf that I'm supposed to have been editing, and I just haven't because I've been so busy. But we want to do more kind of Let's Play stuff. We think that would be fun. We may get into reviews kind of tangentially or in a different way. We don't. That's not really our wheelhouse right now, and we're not really looking to get into that market. But we've talked about doing a podcast. We've talked about we're developing a website right now that I think is going to give us a lot more avenues to do different things. So we've been throwing around a bunch of ideas on the type of content, and the Kickstarter is going to help us with that because it's going to let us do the content we do currently more efficiently, so that we'll have more time to do other content kind of outside of that. I always think that we're going to be kind of centralized on bits and the series and probably the news, but yeah, we're going to probably start doing some other things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I think that documentary thing is great. There hasn't really been, there's been a handful of documentaries on the board gaming stuff, but there's not yet. I think I can count 2 off the top of my head. So
we're gonna try and jump in that as quickly as we can. hopefully before that void fills up anymore.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll just ask that you don't do reviews because then I'll be out of business.
I don't think that's true. No, you know so much more about this than we do.
No,
I mean, on top of the fact that there are people like you out there doing reviews really well, we you know, I don't feel like we've got the knowledge of games and the breadth of experience to be able to cover things the way that you and your colleagues do. So, you know, I don't think you have any worries from us.
It's also about the only thing in board gaming that is kind of, I think, at its saturation point. Yeah. And one thing I really like about yours is that you'll say when you don't like a game. And you won't say like, it's good if you're into this. You will say that like, I don't like it. I mean, you just did that video where it was like the top 5. I don't remember the wording, but basically like the top 5 games that just you don't like that much. Yeah. Which I really appreciate because that's a tough thing in our hobby because it's so small and you know all the people in it, and so then it's putting down your friends and stuff, which is really tough. I think that'll change as we move forward and stuff, but I think that's also really important in reviewing, and it's a thing that I have no interest in doing. Because that's one thing that's great about us is we can do a bit on a game that we don't like that much. It doesn't. We're not saying it's a good game or not a good game, but you know, we have jokes for it, then we have jokes for it, and that's great.
Honestly, even if it's a bad game, could really add to the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Next question: do you guys ever go to? Well, actually, one I'm curious about. Do you guys go to like VidCon and things like that, or have you participated in that at all?
We haven't.
You haven't. Okay.
I don't know what it is. Should I know what that is?
Maybe not. I don't know. It's it's like a YouTube convention. It's for video makers. And so I was just wondering if you guys were going to be there, or if you're going to go. That was kind of tying into my next question. Was I've never been to VidCon, so I don't know that I have a desire to go, or a need. But are you guys going to go to like PAX or Gen Con or do any kind of marketing that way?
Yeah, we will be at Gen Con. I'm not sure how many of us, but some of us will be at Gen Con. Okay. We hope to go to PAX. It's just it's all money and time what we can do, but we definitely hope to. We're also planning to submit Board with Life to Gen Con Indie, their little film festival there.
Right.
So hopefully we can be in the web series thing for that if we get in. So yeah, I mean, we the first like board game fest we went to as Board with Life was BGG Con last year, and it was an absolute blast. It was so awesome. So we're definitely going to try to hit as many conventions as we can, but you know, it's just time and money.
Good. Let me just take a look at the old chat here and see if anybody has any questions. Are Casey and Brittany siblings in real life?
Yes.
Yes, we are. Oh yeah, like that's disgusting, right? No, we are going out.
Serious.
We're dating.
We're going steady.
Well,
so.
we're dating all the way.
Whatever that means, we're doing that.
That's gross.
Neck all the time.
Good deal.
So no, we are not siblings.
You know, I actually was wondering that because I don't know who it was. Somebody posted. So I don't know if it was the Board with Life Twitter or something. They posted. You guys went to this wedding, like all of you, and there was this video. And I was watching it, and I'm like, they are not brother and sister after watching it.
They are brother and sister. They're just really committed to the joke.
No, we just really love Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was
fans.
That was Adam, our editor's wedding, and he did that video. So everybody, all of us were there being crazy, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And
so he edits the show to. Go ahead. No, go ahead, John.
I love that video got like 2 million views or something.
Yeah, it was like we've spent so much time and energy trying to get something that's popular on YouTube, and then his wedding video got 1.5 million views in 2 days.
Yeah, I actually saw that on my personal Facebook come around. I'm like, gosh, this thing is just going everywhere. And then
yeah, it was insane.
Yeah. So is that the guy that edited that video? He also works on Board with Life.
Yeah, he's our editor.
Okay.
He's also briefly in episode 3. He's the guy playing Magic the Gathering with Anthony Birch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let me just look at the old chat here again. There's another question about having. Who would you like to have on the show, like cameo-wise, like actors or Colby Dowk? You know.
Oh,
No, he's too handsome. He's too handsome. We can't
I
have
think
it.
the question should be who we want off the show, and that's Donald.
That's definitely Donald.
Okay.
I know you're listening, Doland. We want you off.
People we would love on the show.
Or?
Yeah, I mean, Rich Sommer is pretty far up there on our list.
Yeah, if you had told me when I was getting into Mad Men a couple years ago, sitting on my couch, like you're gonna act with Rich Sommer on a board game like web series, I wouldn't have believed you. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'm gonna go crazy. I want Stringer Bell. I want Idris Elba.
What's that guy's real name?
What up, String? That's who I want on the show.
I want him to be Stringer Bell in Bored with Life. I don't want him to
he should be Danielle's uncle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just start going after guys from The Wire.
Yeah.
That's what The Office did. I feel like we should do the same thing.
Why don't we just go crazy and let's get Daenerys Targaryen on here? Amelia Clark. Get her on over.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
I think realistically, Will Wheaton would be a really obvious fit for the show.
Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess we're just not going to answer that question well, so I'm going to go with Elvis.
We gave so many answers.
So speaking of people on or off the show, all right, here's the question. Have you written season 2 very much? Is that pretty set in stone, or?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
We have.
She's right. It's a zygote. We have outlines, either basic or in some cases pretty specific outlines for each episode, and actually more episodes than we'll probably have the ability to make at this point. So yeah, we've got everything outlined, but we haven't started the official writing process yet. We kind of have just been emailing to each other just ideas over the past 6 months of just like a zillion ideas. I mean, we literally had a stack of index cards that we just went through one night to kind of like see what stuck and what didn't, and what dots connected and what didn't, stuff like that. So, but nothing's on the page yet.
And season 1 was supposed to be twice as long, if I'm not mistaken.
Originally,
a lot of ideas that didn't make it into that will probably be in season 2.
Yeah, we have 3 episodes that we had written for season 1 that we didn't make for season 1. So we'll probably end up tweaking those for season 2. But we wound up with like 9 or 10 episodes outlined that we were like super pumped about making. So we definitely have more ideas than we're gonna have time and money for. But
that's
so good. it's not much is like set in stone written, but we know what we want to do.
Good deal. So are you gonna have let's see here. I read somewhere that you were going to shift more of the focus of this season to be, I don't know what it was, like less overarching plot stuff. Like, are you going to continue the plot with Christopher and Brittany, or Christopher and Ashley, and tie in some more of these extra characters? Are there going to be more people kind of playing a predominant role, or or are you going to kind of go in a different direction?
We are certainly going to continue the storylines that exist, and they will, we'll get to see kind of what's going on with those characters. But there is going to be more of a focus on kind of having fun and getting to know the characters. There's not going to be such drastic changes. Where I think with season 1 we bit off a little bit more than we could chew. With, I don't think we had time enough to kind of get to know the characters and how they were before we started like really changing them a lot in their life. So I think season 2 is just going to kind of be more fun hanging out with this group. But yeah, there'll still be storylines and such that are moving things forward. They just aren't going to be quite as drastic and probably not as big of cliffhangers. Or I could just be lying and I'm just setting you guys up. Just setting you up. Ashley's going to murder me. That's it. Spoiler.
I know. I do feel like a little bit like E! Entertainment Tonight. You're asking these questions, but but yeah. Do you think the games will you know, like one thing, it's just an idea I had was like, you know, you could have sort of like a story arc go around a game because you kind of have that Lord of the Rings Risk thing with Jonathan. You know how like he just magically rolls sixes all the time, and I mean that's kind of boring, but I mean it was funny for the one episode. But I mean to do like a whole thing on Lord of the Rings Risk.
What you said.
Yeah, I mean, our goal with the newer stuff is going to be to both like be truer to the feel of the game, the themes present in a game and stuff like that, and be able to incorporate that into the story that we're telling, while also hopefully being able to balance it to where it's all still accessible to viewers who aren't immersed in that game. So honestly, I'm confident that we'll be able to be better at both sides of that than we were in season 1, which was pretty unbalanced in some areas, one way or the other.
Gotcha. So,
we're doing a lot more like theming of individual episodes, where like kind of the action and the story that takes place in the episode is more based around the game that it is. Kind of like Lord of the Rings Risk, but like, for example, we have one that we've written that was supposed to be in season 1 that we ended up tweaking, where it's for Formula D or Formula Day, as my character pronounces it, and there's like a car race, like a car chase in that episode, and things like that. So we're trying to kind of like pull thematic elements from the games and like make them more, and like Mr. Jack, you know, how it's kind of like a mystery type thing, and then that bit we made a mystery. So I think we're going to do more of that, which I think is going to help be better about focusing on the game while also still focusing on the gaming group. So yeah.
Cool.
Like, did you ever see that movie Jumanji? It's going to be like that.
Sweet. That'll be awesome. What stretch goal is that?
A straight-up remake of Jumanji with Robin Williams.
Why not? They're remaking everything nowadays.
Yeah.
No joke. Well, it looks like Chris is reading the chat because that was a follow-up question there. So I'll go to the next question. Does Jonathan enjoy acting like a jock/frat guy?
Acting.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it like I was in a fraternity, and I don't know, like I grew up like playing sports, and I guess you could say I was a jock growing up, but I also like to act and stuff. I was basically like Zac Efron in High School Musical, you know, just torn between my love for art and no.
Okay.
No, but I mean, I think there's a blooper where I'm like kind of jokingly getting into character, where I'm just going fret, and that's kind of how I like view Jonathan. Is he's just super fratty, and I went to school. I was in a fraternity with some guys that were just like, you just wouldn't believe the stuff that came out of their mouth. I mean, everything was just inappropriate, and just like how drunk you got that weekend, and you know, and that was like the only thing about him. And so, while I don't really love people like that in real life, acting like that is pretty fun, especially because he's so different from the rest of the characters in the show.
One thing that's good.
We often have to really direct him up too. I think you'd be surprised. Like Jonathan's really, really good as a real person. Jonathan, he always, more than any of us, maybe Brittany also, kind of bring way more to the screen than's on the page. I think the rest of us are pretty standard of the page, but he'll always have facial reactions that crack us up, and he'll have like really nice little improv lines. But the part that we always have to kind of direct him into is just being like that fratty, just like that much of a douche. And luckily he's funny enough and like likable enough that I think it comes across and people don't hate him. It's not natural for him.
That one episode you were talking about earlier, the Magic the Gathering episode where they were playing at Jonathan's work, I thought that was interesting because it really brought home the point of Jonathan's kind of being out, you know, in terms of being gay, like he's just out, but he's not out when it comes to the board game. I thought that was an interesting dichotomy there, you know, kind of flip the script a little bit on that.
Yeah, I love that episode. I thought that was a really cool thing that they did with that, because, I mean, like, with that whole thing, you know, I think it's a sensitive subject that we just didn't want to be sensitive, where it's like, yeah, he's gay, there's nothing really wrong with that, but what's funny is that I mean, yeah, it's like, it's the gay guy who is in the closet about playing board games with his friends.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people responded well to that, and I mean, I saw some YouTube comments where they're like, "Oh, that is funny," you know, like kind of pointed it out. So
cool. And then next, there was actually another question similar to that for Brittany. Does she enjoy playing the? Let me make sure I get the words right here. The mean person or something. All right, the chat scrolled up. I can't find it, but it was there. So, do you enjoy playing the mean girl?
Yes. No. It's really hard for me because I'm probably the nicest person I know in real life, so I'm pretty emotionally tormented by it anytime I have to get into that character. I am doing therapy, working through it, but...
she has to get to a dark place.
Yeah. It's caused,
well, yeah.
There's a lot of friction in my...
character actor, so she just has been acting like a mean person for about 1.5 years now.
Yeah, she started method when she was like 10.
When she doesn't need to be there, like the Joker.
Yeah, no, to be honest though, I do. I think it's fun in the same vein as Jonathan was saying, like being someone different. But I'm not that different from me. I think I'm a nice person, but I think my character was sort of developed from my personality when I hang out with these guys. I can be sort of playfully mean, but it's nothing vicious like Brittany in the show. She can be just vicious, which I love. That's fun.
Which says something about Brittany, you know?
Mm-hmm. We don't have to direct her up for that.
No, all right. So is Ashley Birch going to be back on the show?
Yep, she is definitely going to be back on the show. That was one of our big things for the Kickstarter, because while we all live in the same area, she lives in LA. So she was kind enough that she just came out and did that stuff for us because she's awesome. But and she's also a professional actress. Like that's how she makes her living. Yeah. So we're actually going to be able to like compensate her some and like pay for her flights out here. And things like that is part of how we're using some of the Kickstarter funds. So she is definitely going to be in season 2, which I know a bunch of people were worried about that. But yeah, she's definitely going to be in season 2.
Good. I had a question here, but sorry, I'm juggling like 5 windows. I'm trying to update Board Game Geek and all this place. Like, hey, we're live, and I totally forgot to hit submit on this other form, and so a little bit spaced out here. I had a question I was going to ask, though.
Was it about the rice cooker in my closet? Somebody asked a question about the rice cooker in my closet.
Yeah, I actually had a question about the rice cooker in your closet. Why is that?
It's a rice cooker? I don't know.
Why isn't it in your kitchen, Chris? Cooking rice.
Because my kitchen doesn't have enough space.
Honestly, that's a lie. I've seen your kitchen.
Fine. Okay. Here's the honest truth.
Finally, we're getting to the dirt of this interview.
It's my girlfriend's rice cooker. We brought it over. We made a delicious meal. I forgot there was rice in it. It got disgustingly moldy. And then
we need to stop. We don't care.
It got disgustingly moldy. I did clean it out, but then my roommate wasn't comfortable with it being in our kitchen because it was so gross. So then she put it in my office, and that's why it's in the closet.
How can you leave rice in a rice cooker so long that it gets moldy? And I wish I could have been there when your roommate said, "I'm not comfortable with this rice cooker."
I mean, she didn't so much say it as just put it in the closet, and that was over. Well, it's really easy. What you do is you cook rice and then just don't touch it for a month.
That's okay if it's in the fridge. Those are my rules. If it's in the fridge, out of sight, out of mind. You don't smell it or anything.
Yeah.
So we were kind of touching on this earlier. I found my place here. About Jonathan's character and Brittany's character. So the inspiration for some of the different characters, like Chris, your character, for example, and Casey, that's not really you, but it's kind of, you know, what is that a mixture of? Some people you know, some people in movies that you've seen, or different stereotypes?
Kind of all that. My character is probably maybe the closest to me in real life, but I'm also like the most I'm the straight man in most scenes, so I'm kind of the closest to a regular person. And some of the storylines in season 1 were based off of me a couple years ago. And then we play up, kind of play up the hipster thing, and we play up my anxieties and stuff like that, which are all real things in real life. And so we kind of make them more extreme. And we do that for some people. Like Donald, a lot of his kind of weird quirkiness is like a played up version of himself. But then again, he's like not arrogant, and he's not, kind of rude. Brittany was kind of both a played-up version of the way Brittany is comedically, and then also just we needed a mean character, and we decided Brittany would be good because she could get away with more. She could be way meaner, and it would still be funny, versus like if I was saying that to people, it would just be too mean. Casey's completely made up. We just thought we wanted a character like that. We also wanted to show a representation of a person who maybe is not the most socially adept person in the world, but that's never a hindrance to him, and we never make fun of him for that, so he's just kind of one of the gang. And then Jonathan was a combination of our producer Kellen, who plays games like Jonathan, and our composer and assistant director Andrew, who was a gay frat guy, and we wanted a gay character that had representation that was different than most of the representation for gay characters. Mm-hmm. So yes and no. Some of it's entirely made up. Some of it's from us. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that's one thing you guys, not only with Jonathan but with your portrayal in general. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but maybe it's one of the things that kind of made it hit home for me. Not only is it about board games, but like its portrayal of being a geek. It's not like I'm trying to say this nicely live on YouTube. It's not like overbearing Hollywoodized stereotypical kind of people. Like it's more based from. Did we lose Jonathan there?
Yeah, he just texted me saying sorry, got logged off. I hope he's getting back on.
Okay,
sure.
I'll try to reinvite him if I can. So break my train of thought there. So yeah, it's. Nobody is like nobody comes across to me as a stereotype necessarily. You kind of have different folks that are fitting different roles, of course, but I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it definitely is something that struck me. So I don't know if you guys want to comment on that at all.
Yeah, I mean, like we're all pretty geeky about something. Maybe it's not necessarily board games in a lot of cases, but that's a part of ourselves that we wanted to portray fairly, because geeks are being portrayed more and more in movies and in TV, but we feel like it's still a lot of times more laughing at them than laughing with them. So so we wanted to not do that, which I don't think we're the only people not to do that, of course, but that was certainly thought about.
Yeah, we wanted a kind of more honest thing where we're all, geeky and into this kind of stuff, but at the same time, like, we're showing us as normal people, and we want to kind of show that normal people like board games and they're fun, and but at the same time not, be untrue as to, we're not like a bunch of super attractive, handsome jocks that play board games while being oiled up.
Well, except for Donald, but
yeah. But that's how he plays board games. So what are you gonna do?
One thing that was interesting to me is when I was kind of putting out feelers, because this little interview thing is kind of new for me and my channel actually. I mostly do reviews and vlogs and things like that. And when I was asking people in general on Twitter and whatever, hey, who would you like me to interview? You guys came up, and of course, like Will Wheaton and them came up as well. But one thing I found was interesting, and maybe you guys can comment, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot a little bit. But nobody really. There was some folks that asked me like, "Hey, put this designer on or this publisher," but most of the people were like, Bored with Life, Will Wheaton, Tom Vassell, and I'm like, well, these are all people that are usually playing games on video or something. I thought that was kind of interesting, that people would want to see more of that and see interviews with these people as opposed to like a designer. They're faceless, but it's one thing that I found kind of interesting about the dynamics of gaming and kind of a little bit of cult of personality of the people you're playing with or people playing it online and stuff. I don't know if you have any, and I don't even know if that's really a question, but I just thought it was interesting that people ask to see you guys and Will Wheaton especially.
Yeah, they should be tired of us by now. Honestly, the stuff I love is when you do get really nice, like that Rob Daviau talk that he did at NYU about design is awesome. I love that thing. And so stuff like that I find really interesting. And I think honestly what it is just people are more familiar with us and we have kind of this interesting relationship where there's sort of a give and take, and because they often see us as like fictional characters, they're interested in seeing the real people. But I don't know, I love watching designer interviews and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I eat.
It is flattering that people want to see us, apparently. That's great.
Yeah. I think people are also like, now that we've started, we've been on a couple podcasts in the past couple weeks and stuff like that, and the outtakes and stuff. I think people really like seeing that we actually are friends and we actually like joke with each other, and it's not some like, it's not like we call cut and then we all like go to our trailers and like, are separate and like there's some director that's faceless, that's whatever. So, it's like the fun of seeing other gaming groups and stuff like that. So, I guess that's it.
Good. A couple more questions, and then I'm kind of running dry here. You guys have answered all my stuff. So as far as the Let's Play and the game, the games maybe you focus on bits and things, can you tease us a little bit about what games you're going to feature? Like you said, Formula Day or Formula D earlier. Do you have any that you think you might focus on in any shape or form?
We got some stuff coming up. I don't know. We never really talked about what we can and can't say. But I mean, okay, we got a boss monster bit coming up.
Okay.
Say that.
And Tokaido.
Sure.
And then we have the Magical Lost Pandemic episode that Nikki wrote. That a lot of people that have read it say is the funniest episode. But she wrote it for season 1. It never got made, so that might be in season 2. We honestly, because we have like 10 or 12 ideas for season 2, we don't know for sure which games are going to make it and which ones aren't. So I certainly can't say any are for sure going to make it in season 2. We do have episodes written for Formula D, Werewolf, and Pandemic, but I don't know if they'll make it or not.
Okay. The last question I have written down is, what are your kind of plans, and how do you kind of see the web stuff sort of evolving? Is that you want to just kind of keep everything on your channel and just keep going at it in that direction, or do you want to move? Everybody's going to move to LA, sign a deal with NBC, or whatever, or what's your kind of? Do you have like a long-term goal? Is it kind of my you kind of answered that earlier with the documentary and some of the different things, but do you have sort of an end game or something in idea, or are you just kind of winging it?
Money. Dollar bills, y'all.
FXX.
Yeah. We're winging it. This honestly got so much more popular than we expected, so much faster. Literally, when we were first making the stuff, we were talking about kind of keeping our expectations in check, and we're talking, and we were like, man, 300 views would be cool. Because if you think about it, if you were in a band and 300 people paid to see you, like came and saw you, that would feel good to have that many people in a room, and 1,000 would be incredible. Like, I've been in a lot of bands, and I've never played to a crowd of 1,000 people. So it was this thing where it was like, that would be really cool to get 1,000 views, and then it got way, like, the very first thing we released was Scrabble, and like by the end of the first day that had like 4,000 views, given the rest of our stuff didn't get that popular that fast. Actually, today's bit has been climbing pretty quickly, but so that's really what we were expecting. We thought 1,000 views would be cool, and then it kind of blew up pretty quickly, and we kind of became a fixture in the board game world pretty quickly. So we're still riding that wave and enjoying that. And we're gonna have a website soon that we're gonna do some more stuff with. So I mean, we're open to everything. We're riding this wave. I honestly, if NBC came up and was like, "Hey, you want to do that on TV?" They would absolutely say yes. Like, we have no problem with that. But that's not going to happen. And a lot of people, a lot of times, are like, "You should sell it to Hulu." And it's like, great, yeah. I don't know. That's not a thing that happens. Where we have to get a lot bigger before anybody like Netflix or Hulu or anybody that's doing kind of original digital programming is going to be interested in us. I assume. I don't know. They could be watching this right now. And if you are, please give us all your money. But yeah, I mean, we like making content. We like being funny. We like doing this kind of thing. So we'll be doing it for the foreseeable future and just kind of seeing where it takes us. We don't have any sort of like bigger plan or grand scheme of things. So yeah.
Okay.
I think if I could just jump in there, I mean, I wasn't one of the original thinkers of Board with Life, but it just seems like, I remember that first 24 hours that it went live. I mean, episode 1 at least. I mean, that was a whirlwind. We had 10, 11,000 views in the first day or 2 days or something like that, and all of a sudden people were talking to us and knew our name a little bit, and I think as long as you just keep that innocence and this is really we have a really fun time when we do this. It's really fun because like they said, it's not only are we shooting, but we're just hanging out and having a good time, and I think that's gonna make the best content. The minute that we start going all right, well, we need to start getting 30,000 views and we need to start getting paid and blah blah blah, and that's when I think the content will suffer. And I know everybody knows that. I mean, it's openly talked about a lot, and I don't think that's going anywhere. So, like they said, sure, if someone wanted to buy this, I wouldn't mind a little money on the side. But right now, it's just a really fun experience, and I know it's something we'll look back on even a year from now, 2 years from now, and look on it fondly. That's my dramatic piece of the night.
I think people would say most of us would say it's kind of a labor of love, a passion project. But the thing is, we all this is what we wanted to do, kind of. So if we could do this as our day jobs and just do this, then that would be amazing. So I guess that's what we're kind of saying with if somebody wanted to pay us to do it, we could make money doing it. It'd be great, but we really all just do love doing it.
Yeah, really what that means is not even necessarily the money part of it. It's just I'd love to spend my day doing this. That would be great.
Yeah. Good deal. So on that note, I do notice a question I missed. I think you guys threw me off when you said half of you on here weren't gamers, so I felt shy to ask it. But maybe working from left to right, can you tell me what your favorite game is and why?
Who's on the left? Who's on the right? We don't going on the bottom.
Start with Casey, and then work our way down to.
Casey. My favorite game, if I had to say at this point, it's up to, it can fluctuate at any given time, but right now I'd say Betrayal at House on the Hill, which I know is a fundamentally pretty broken game, but that's kind of what I love about it, and I feel like it's so thematically true to, it really feels like watching a schlocky horror movie to me, where the first 30 minutes of it are kind of boring and weird, and then suddenly a pin drops and everything goes crazy, and there are so many different scenarios. I love that. It's been a good time with my friends and myself every time I played it, so that'll probably be mine.
Awesome. Brittany?
For me, I'm less knowledgeable about board games than most everybody. Maybe not Jonathan, but I've always been a word gamer. And since I was a teenager, my dad, and I see him do crossword puzzles, that's that's what I love to do, and I kind of immerse myself in that. So I gravitate towards word games. So I would say Scrabble, but like I'm kind of a boss at Words with Friends.
Oh, she's unbeatable.
Literally challenge me. Go ahead, start a game with me. I think my name is B Smithereens on there. But I love word games, so I have to say like that. What?
For real, literally, Casey, Brittany, and I shared an office at Funimation, and she was just wrecking shop on Words with Friends, and constantly people would come into our office that were playing with her, and they would just be like, Brittany cheats at Words with Friends, right? And we're like, no, she doesn't, I promise. And they're like, there's no way she's not cheating. She's so good. And then recently she started playing with Paul from Shut Up and Sit Down, and he sent me a Facebook message, and he was like, Brittany cheats at Words with Friends, right?
Are you serious?
Like, it's like
you're gonna get a message.
and she is.
Yeah, she used to max out all the games you could possibly have going on the app. Like it'd be like 30 games.
And then if somebody wasn't playing, I'd message them and go, "You need to. If you're not gonna take this seriously, then you need to resign your game." And I can play some.
Brittany is better at Words with Friends than anyone I know is at any game. It's crazy.
So she's a unigamer. She's really a gamer, but just she plays one hard.
That and solitaire. I have a weird relationship with my solitaire app on my phone. It's probably not too healthy, but I have it, so.
Chris?
Oh, that's a tough question.
What you've done.
How much time we have? Hour, 2? I usually say Agricola. Because that's the game that got me really heavy into Euros, and every other game that I would like today like more than it is just a redoing. Like I loved Sulkin, I love Alien Frontiers, I love all those games, but it's all because of Agricola. Mm-hmm. So I would probably say Agricola, but honestly. There aren't a lot of games that I don't like. I mean, I'm almost aside from word games because I cannot play word games. I just want to play games generally. So yeah, Agricola. Alien Frontiers is the one that I'm currently just itching to play 100% of the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Jonathan.
Well, I grew up playing more video games, but I guess, I mean, I even said this in one of our last interviews, the most I've played board games consistently has been in the last year with these guys. I guess as far as a party game goes, I really like Cards Against Humanity. I think it's really fun to play when you're drinking with some friends. Although I did make the mistake of playing it with my aunt and mom and cousins and like some older friends, like my parents' friends. And we couldn't look each other in the eye the next morning. It was kind of weird. They say some terrible things like that in front of your aunt, and then she's making you breakfast the next morning, and it's like, "Hi, Aunt Julie." Of all the games that I played, my favorite still, and I actually want to play it again soon because it's been a while, is Dominion. I think that game is really fun. I like to play Magic as a kid, and I really like the illustrations and just kind of all the different ways that things can go. So I thought Dominion is one of the coolest games I've ever played.
Cool. Well, we're coming up on an hour here, and I was planning it taking about an hour. I do see there is a couple of questions in chat. I don't know how much longer. I know it's late for you guys. It's 10:30 now, right?
No, we're fine. You gave Rado an hour and a half.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay.
That guy can talk, though.
I was going to say.
That guy can talk.
That was mostly him speaking.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get crap from him. All right.
Good.
So there are some questions here in chat, and this kind of... Okay, so how about an episode about backing the Doom that came to Atlantic City or backing a Kickstarter game? But you guys kind of did that with your first episode.
Mm-hmm. Tammany Hallsum, yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say... Go ahead.
I could see it happening. I don't know. The Doom that came to Atlantic City, it would just be, there'd be no way to not make it crappy. you know, because it was such a crappy
Finally
situation.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. And then now that Cryptozoic has that game like being produced, and apparently, spoiler alert, it's not that good a game. It's just kind of like, I don't know. That game got it's way more attention than it ever deserved, and you know, for not going well. So yeah, I mean, I could see something like that happening, but we kind of went to that well with Tammany Hall. So we'll see.
Yeah, I gotta say, in regards to that, I love the whole where Donald unboxed it for you.
Yeah.
Really, that was awesome.
The absolute betrayal.
Yeah. Well, apparently you guys are something of a party throwers here looking at this chat, because I saw something about the BGG Con after party, and then somebody's asking, will there be a Gen Con after party?
God, that thing was rowdy.
That
Really?
party was so rowdy.
If I could have left, I would have left.
Yeah, it you know, we wanted to throw a party. We you know, we honestly even after our days at the con, we kind of like anticipated it being pretty low key, just because it's such a chill community, you know, and actually being at the con wasn't super rowdy, but boy, that party picked up fast, and it hit hard, and it was a total blast until about 3:30, and then it was just like, oh God, I want this over, and then it went on for 2.5 more hours.
Yeah, because that's when the party gets into like, it becomes like weird.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
drinks were strong too.
Yeah, there were lots of drinks, and they were very strong. But anyway,
Strong drinks and like Caesar salad. It was weird at the end.
Yeah. There was a salad there.
but yeah, I mean, we would like to have another. I know we all overall really enjoyed it, and God knows we learned some things to kind of prevent the less enjoyable parts of it from happening, maybe. But we would like to do it. You know, it was actually like, you know, a really good time to have with those folks that was a little bit separate than the board gaming aspect of the con. So that was pretty valuable to us, just because we got to see another side of the people that we had just recently met, or that we kind of like knew from a distance.
Yeah, one of our next push goals on our Kickstarter is to actually get bouncers for the next party.
We need that, so Nikki doesn't have to be it. Yeah, it was great. That was, we have one of our executive producers like knows how to throw a party, and it's funny because he was like planning it with us, and we were going like, this isn't this crowd, like it's not gonna get rowdy, like whatever. And then he was totally right. He was like, you guys don't get it. Everybody likes getting rowdy, and so it did, and it was a total blast. As far as Gen Con, like BGG Con, I think we can pull that off because it's basically in our backyard. We live in Dallas, and so I think certainly next year we're gonna do it at BGG Con again. We might do something at Gen Con. I doubt it's, and also BGG Con is only a couple thousand people. Gen Con, I bet that could get out of hand.
I was gonna say, you guys are asking for trouble.
Out of hand. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see what we do.
Okay. There was another question. How about a Battlestar Galactica or Resistance episode? I think you guys you did 2 Rooms and a Boom playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are kind of begging for one of those social games as far as an episode. Maybe it's too obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got a werewolf one written, and I would love to do a Battlestar Galactica one. That would be one that we'd almost like have to get cameos on though, because it'd be one of those things that we do it this season, and then like maybe by next season we'd be big enough to get somebody on it, and we can't do it again. So yeah, I definitely think those games would make for good episodes. They have strong, kind of things that can build into a narrative. So yeah, I think that those are both potentials. Yeah.
And the other thing was, you mentioned before, Brittany playing with was it Paul? Words with Friends?
Yeah.
And you guys, I know you guys hooked up with Paul or Quinn's or some. Quinn's was the one that came to Board Game Geek Con, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you guys, there going to be any crossover, DC, Marvel, cameos on either side there or anything?
Yeah, there are. We don't know exactly what they're going to be yet, but basically, Mike Urbanski's a guy that is their programmer. He's behind the scenes and stuff. He lives in New York, and he runs Pretend Money, which is kind of his parent thing. And we're kind of in the process of hooking up with him, and so I think there's going to be some like mutually beneficial stuff. Those guys are awesome, and we're kind of kindred spirits. We immediately, when we met them, got along great. So yeah, I certainly would not be surprised if they pop up in our stuff, and maybe we'll pop up in their stuff. I don't know. So yeah.
Good. Well, if anybody watching this now or later hasn't seen your guys' Kickstarter video with those guys in it, that's pretty. That's worth backing right there. You mean right there? You got to back the thing.
Yeah, so that they can be released and continue making content, because we still have them. He's right behind the rice cooker in my closet right now. Quinn's is. Yeah, tied up. Rich Summer has that key. He's gonna let it free.
Okay. Gosh, I mean, I'm out of questions, guys. I mean, I just want to say again, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm a big fan in a lot of ways. I do this video thing myself with board games because I'm really kind of enthralled with this hobby right now, and to see somebody kind of, attack it with the level of production and professionalism and wit and good acting. I know you guys say you're not actors, but you really could fool me there. You guys really do a really great job, and I hope that your Kickstarter is successful, to the nth degree, honestly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, unless you guys have anything else you want to plug or just, anything like that, I think we can call it good. But anyway, if you guys have anything you want to say, go ahead.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for saying all those things. I think you plugged us better than we ever could. So we appreciate you having us on the show, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to Gen Con, so whichever one of you guys is going, yes. I'll be wandering around with a video camera myself.
Nice.
Doing whatever. But we'll maybe say hello to each other.
Yeah, I hope so. We should definitely hook up depending on who goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
take care.
Bye, Internet.